So, everyone,
Hey.
unfortunately, we can't. Otherwise, we have two mics. Good work, but we could try.
Yeah, why
Yeah.
not? Do we have two mics?
No, just one.
That's great.
This looks insane, but hey, let's let's just do it like this. This works. Yeah, this works. Welcome everyone, live from Amsterdam today. The Artist Coaching Podcast. Bring it up. So, that's the proof that we actually have an audience. It's not a tape.
It's not AI.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes you make that joke that we have like the clapping audience, right?
And you did it.
Yeah, I turn it on. That's true. So ADE 2024 already, and we're here at the Abeling in Amsterdam with 35 people from all over the world. Which countries do we have in house right now? Do we have the States? Oh, that's quite a few. America. And what else? Like what else do we have? Brabant. Yeah. Anything else? You guys from? Turkey. Any other country? Norway. Ecuador. Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Nice. Finland. Nice. Well, great to have you all here today, and we have guests and an extra guest, as in Ralph is not here today, unfortunately, due to private circumstances. But we have a great replacement, which is also a familiar face in the podcast.
Also from Brabant.
Also,
Hey!
from Brabant.
Give it up
We
for
have
Brabant.
Dannic in the
Lekker.
house. Sorry, that's why we want wireless stuff. The idea behind today was to do a live podcast. Normally we also do questions in the podcast, but we take like 15 minutes for that. And the other 45 you'll hear us ramble about whatever.
Yeah, we feel like
Exactly.
Disney movies.
Yeah, sometimes a hot discussion here and there, but that's it. Today the concept is all about you guys. You travel all the way to Amsterdam to be here, so we really appreciate that, and I hope you really enjoyed lunch, and we hope that you enjoyed the previous interviews. For now, it's all about you, and I hope you have some questions for us, because otherwise it's going to be a boring hour. There's no boundaries for me. I'm not sure if there's any boundaries for you in regards to questions, so just feel free to ask whatever you want, and we'll try to do our best to answer them. And that's it. So, you want to say something, or shall we just start?
Let's start.
Let's go. Yeah.
Let's start with the questions.
Who would like to start off? Yeah, there we go.
So this is more specific. Oh,
This is cool.
so this is more specific for you, Joey. Life after the music industry. I mean, like, what's it like? How did you feel, like, with all the hype and you're rising, and then now it's just like, everything's done, everything's still. How was that for you?
To sum it all up in one word, it's boring. No, but that has been the goal, and for some who know me from the coaching, I tend to use the word boring a lot, because I think that's a great goal to achieve in life if you have a boring life. And a lot of people think, when they think about boring, they think about it in a negative way. Boring means I don't do anything meaningful in life. My life is like this same old shit, different day, the same shit, different day. That's definitely not the case for me. When I mean boring, I mean schedules, patterns, consistency. Like, I do have the same schedules kind of every week, but that really gives me a lot of sane and peacefulness in my life. Although I have two little kids, like two little girls, that can be insane. But aside from that, it's really quiet and it's really peaceful, and getting into that boring life really brought me a lot. And I still remember when I was at the psychologist, like 10 years ago, she asked me, like, what kind of life do you want? I was like, the life everyone else has, like, just a regular life, as I would say. And I think I achieved it by now, and I really like it. So I don't really regret, like, quitting DJing. Sometimes when I watch DJs like those guys, I do think, like, fuck it. It's a great feeling and it's a great profession. But again, if I would think about the travel and all the things that came with it, that just doesn't fit in my life right now, and I'm happy with my decision. So, yeah. Next. Oh, there you go.
Joey right now is walking to Josh.
Josh. Which way does this go? Oh, here.
Yeah, the front. Don't need it.
Cool. Right. So I've got a question. When you've done like a massive milestone or performed at a massive gig, you get the like massive adrenaline rush. You're kind of super high. You're like on top of the world for like a week or so. But then for me, I kind of get like this all-time low, and I have to like really pick myself back up because of like the contrast. Do you have like a way of dealing with that?
I think this is, especially with great gigs, you get so much like adrenaline and dopamine, or like your whole being is just like, holy shit, what just happened? And I think it's something that you cannot naturally be like level after this. You have to kind of go through a bit of like, hey, this sucks, you know. I'm like, now I'm like down from this high I was on. And I also, even if you have more shows like right after, it just builds up, but there's always going to be a time where like, ooh, I am now alone in my hotel or back at home, and it's like, this sucks. I think you kind of have to go through that, but like know that there will be an end to that. And if you can kind of know that that's a very natural thing, I learned to accept that better. So it's kind of like you almost use up all your fun, but you just borrow it from next week, especially when you drink. So that's also like how do you say, a risk of drinking, like you're borrowing happiness from tomorrow, you know, like literally. But for me, it helps to accept, you know, that that's going to happen and that it's a natural process. And also when I'm enjoying it, I'm just feeling like very blessed. Like I'm enjoying it to the fullest. And this goes for every show, no matter how small. I'm always like, just very grateful to be in that moment. And when it's over, it's like, I mean, that was just, it's a good memory, and I'm not worried about the little dip I have then after. So I hope that helps.
Do you ever get used to it? As in, do you ever get used to that dopamine shot? Does it level out eventually, or is it always the dip that Josh describes?
You get used to it in the way, that I now have 2 kids. I can compare it to that because the first kid is like a huge shock to my whole system, and like you're like, how the hell do I deal with this? But then after 2 years, you kind of realize your life is kind of chaotic, and then with the second one now that's just born, for me, it's like I find it way easier to accept the little extra chaos that comes with the second one. And I feel that's what I also always really, you do get used to it. Definitely. I don't know how Dannic.
Is that the same for you?
No, I was just gonna answer his question. I think
Too much.
I think Armin van Buuren talked about. Oh yeah, sorry. Armin van Buuren talked about this, and he read a book which is about what success does to my brain. That's a really interesting book, and that really got me. Basically, got all the answers that I had, because I was experiencing the same thing. You have major highs, a lot of dopamine, adrenaline, and then you're back in your hotel room, like everything is just, the contrast is huge. But I think it's very simple, actually. Don't overthink it. Being aware of it is the first thing. You know it's going to happen. The way you feel towards it is the way how you can basically tweak it, because you can use it as fuel to work towards that next goal that you have. And also just let it be. Everyone has depressing days or whatever. It's part of life. Don't overcomplicate it. It's how our brains work. It's the dopamine that we get from social media, all that kind of stuff. There's a way to reset your dopamine levels as well, all that kind of stuff. But I mean, we don't have to go into the science of it, but that's basically how it works. So if you're aware of it, like, okay, I know this happened to me a couple of times. then maybe there's a way to deal with it. Maybe go hit the gym, go for a walk, do something else, or use this fuel to actually just do whatever you like and love, which making music or that kind of stuff. That's how I feel about it.
I also would like to add, maybe find because that's then your career or your main focus, and there's so much pressure then on. Maybe find something next to music that's really a passion. So it could be golf, could be pastries, you know. No, but like something that you can, with no added pressure of a career or like just a hobby. Especially if you grow in your career, for me it was really important to find something to do that doesn't have anything to do with music. I think that's also a way to cope with some of that like pressure and up and downs.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah,
Perfect.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Any other question? Yeah.
So you're attending networking events, gathering emails, WhatsApp, and all that. And I know like you follow up after, like, oh, nice to meet you, like next week or a couple of days after, like, nice to meet you. Hope everything was well. And you reintroduce yourself again because you meet a lot of people. But what's a better way to like follow up so the person that you meet or try meeting will keep you in your mind, like moving forward, instead of like, nice to meet you, then 1 year later, it's like a reintroduction to yourself again.
You want to take it? I have an answer.
Go ahead.
Yeah. It's double mic thing. Again, going back to the relationships being friends, you know, don't always think about it as in the music way, but think about it, how would you treat a regular friend? You know, it's all about like, hey, shall we just catch up with a coffee? No strings attached, no music talk. If there is like organic music talk, that's fine, but not like go into sales mode directly, because that will scare away people. It's really all about building relationships, just as you did with your regular friends. It's showing interest, it's spending time with each other. So it's really more about following up and saying, hey, how are you doing? I really like meeting you. Let's just hop on a Skype call or whatever, if anyone's using Skype still, I don't know. But let's just hop on a call and talk, you know, like just for 10 minutes, because those are the little things that will eventually create the relationship between you two. And then eventually you can maybe pick up some music stuff and start sharing it with them. But at first it's just about building the relationship. Yeah?
Yeah. And I think I always advise to connect with people that, or try to connect with people that are on the same level as you, not to say career-wise, but like as a personality, or where you really click with. And of course, it's always good to introduce to big label bosses or whoever you can meet in this week. It's always good to just say hello and maybe try to get the email and follow up. But if you connect with people that are friends or that become friends, you can really like have a real connection, and then just a simple coffee can turn into a business. But you also have more chance then of keeping in touch, because you like this person, you like actually like this person, and you don't feel pressure of will they like me, because you know you're on the same level creatively or friend wise. But that's why I also did like the big industry people. They're just, a lot of them are just here to make deals and make money. So they're not so much interested in, they're just trying to find who is the hype now as an artist. They're not even looking maybe for the talents. So you want to focus on the people that are looking for that. And that's, it can be also difficult to find. But also just introduce yourself, follow up. If you don't hear from them, it's fine.
Don't push it.
More connections.
And I think one thing is maybe more important is also be specific about the value that you offer, because I can connect with anyone, but if I have nothing to offer that person, or that person is not really interested in me, I can send them an email like, hey, nice to meet you, but there's nothing coming from that, right? I think when someone is interested, say for instance you're talking to an A&R or something, like, hey, of course, then it makes sense. You're specific about, I'm gonna keep you up to date by can I send you some music? That's specific, and I think that will work, because obviously for me, for instance, I meet a lot of people, and sometimes they make a totally different genre, but they're still interested to talk to me, and they can send me music. But I'm gonna be also very honest, like, be specific because for my sound, I'm not gonna be able to give you feedback. Just not because I'm an asshole or I don't want to. I don't have the time for it, and it's not my genre or my piece of cake, basically. That-
Any other questions? Yeah.
So like a lot of people here, I'm sure aren't full-time musicians. So we have busy lives with work or, walking the dog, stuff like that. So sometimes I have a hard time when, I work 8 hours and then, I have an hour and a half to make music that night. Sometimes it's stressful. Like, okay, I need to get an idea down tonight because this is the time that I have. This is all I have. And this weekend I'm going to be busy. So how do you get your mind right when you have so many other duties, when you only have a certain amount of time to relax your mind to, make a good idea, but also get shit done? So it's.
Can I answer that one?
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, this is the trap that everyone. I think that's the trap because you're already talking about like forcing yourself to make something because in your mindset it's like, oh, I only have this amount of time to do it. That's the trap because you have to be able to be creative. You have to be free of those stressors. So, and I think if you think about it, like, I don't know how Lemon Gotti got to you, but it's probably some random, like you're in the shower or whatever, like when you just chill. And there will always be time to make music, if you schedule it right, of course, but don't feel forced. Usually my ideas come out of nowhere and I just record on my phone or something so I don't forget, and then I will eventually have time to finish it or just make the general idea.
Two different answers. One is you might want to have like something in between, so not go directly into the studio from work, but maybe have like a short walk of 10 minutes, 15 minutes to kind of empty your mind, or workout could also help. Like just something in between that resets your brain, you could say. And something you mentioned as well, like find something that triggers your creativity. So there's always something for you that kind of sparks something inside of your brain. And that's different for all of us. For me, it's watching music documentaries. So, or after movies from Tomorrowland or something. If I just watch another DJ play, it just somehow, it does something to my brain and I go into this creativity mode. So find what that is for you. Just try to find what that thing is that if you see it, hear it, smell it, something you sense, change something within your brain that makes you more creative. And try to find what that is for you because it's different for all of us. Yeah? Okay. There you go. Yeah. Assistant.
So I think on the podcast, you guys have talked a lot about kind of how record labels in the past were used. It was kind of a way of finding talent, actually distributing music, and how they're currently used. It's more kind of a, you can distribute it now, free. But I think my question is more like, where do you see the future of record labels kind of going, and how artists should kind of think about, engaging with them in the future?
Good question.
Yeah, good question. I think right now I'm not a fan of how a lot of the labels are operating. I think 10 years ago they were actively looking for talent that they could sign, that they believed in. They believed in the music. Right now I feel like they're looking for stuff that will for sure score. So it's like the tracks need to have already proven them by either support by big DJs or TikTok, like a big TikTok or stuff like that. I hope that maybe artists will start labels where it's more about that finding that talent. But the problem there is then it's also really hard to make money. So it's going to be something where I don't know where it's going to go, but I think you kind of have to roll with how it is. But I think labels would do well to really search for like talentful stuff. And I think that's happening in like more of, let's say, underground or housey labels. There's more, it's more like, hey, we dig this song. It's like, this is good music. And the more commercial the label gets, the more difficult it is for them to focus on talent, because I always get the same response. Oh, we love your tracks, but there's no way for us to really sell it because it has no it didn't go viral. It's not played by any DJ yet. And then it's kind of like chicken or the egg. Where does it start? Yeah, I think this is one of the things. Very big challenge for a lot of artists, I think. And I don't really have an answer, I think.
I do think that labels will become more of marketing companies in the future, as in what some labels are still great at is the marketing side of things. So selling your song and reaching a bigger audience for you. And for now, I think that's most of the role of a label, because the distribution part is kind of done. You know, they don't have to take your CD from A to B. You know, it's like click and it's all out there. So the whole distribution part is cut out. You don't have to pay them for that. So what do you pay them for? It's their network, their fan base that they might have, and their marketing budget that they have. Like, you might not have the budget to pay for yourself for Facebook ads or whatever you want to do. So I still see a role there, that they can help you to get a bigger reach with your track and maybe help you financially as well. That's where I see a role in the future. And some of the labels are still doing that right now. But most of them, unfortunately not. One other thing that I do expect will happen, and which you already see happening in my opinion, is that niches become more and more important. So it's more like, if you look at Afro House, for example, like it's a small little niche, but somehow, like I went to a Black Coffee concert in Rotterdam 2 weeks ago. 5,000 people showed up. I was like, how did this guy sell out 5,000 people? And it's such a niche kind of music. And I feel that everyone is kind of looking for their own niche. You know, it's not like right now you have the DJ Mag Top 100 and all the DJs are being squished into the same bucket, but it's not like that anymore. It's like you have this style, you have that style, you have that style, and you can be very popular in a certain style, and nobody could know you in a different style. And that's where labels should attend to as well. Like, if you can be big in a niche and still be a small label, I think that could work as well. Like, don't focus on the majority, but focus on a small group of people and be the best one in that. Yeah? Do you want to add something? Or?
No.
Because you have a label, right?
Yeah.
How do you? That's why I didn't want to.
Yeah, no. You're very quiet there.
Very nice. No, but I think the only thing, because I'm also like label hopping every now and then, you know, just the protocol and spinning and maximize and all that kind of stuff. I think we go from followers to fans. I think the fan base is going to be more important than ever. Of course, you know, when I thought of, for instance, of spinning, they have like, I don't know, like 20 million subscribers on YouTube or something, but it's not gonna not naturally translate to a lot of streams or plays, unfortunately. So it all comes down to fan base, and that can be very small, because the fans are what's really gonna make a track or break a track. Because I also, like, for my label, of course, we use like Submit Hub and all those kind of stuff, and we basically burn a lot of cash on trying to market it. But in the core of itself, you need to have some kind of fan base that is going to spread it for you, and is doing that mouth to mouth, promotion. Basically, I think that's what sets it apart.
So does that mean that labels will only kind of get in until you have your own, like, like kind of fan base, like not before that?
Not for me, because my label is basically surrounded by my own brand. Of course, it's like an extension, and I really wanted to help the upcoming producers, but also I struggle with helping an actual young producer, because there's not much more that I can do. Obviously, it helps if someone has their own fan base already established, but it's not something I look at. I know other labels look at it that way. There's more a business side to it than it was 10 years ago, for sure. Mm-hmm. And I got denied it a couple of times, of course, you know, and that's purely because of a track doesn't fit their business model, or they don't think they can market it as well. And I always tell people, like, an A&R is never wrong or never right. It's just an opinion.
And I also think an advice I've always given and always stuck to myself: also when labels were looking more for talent is don't wait for the labels. Send out your music to all the labels you want to have your music released. Always keep sending it out, but focus on your craft, focus on the people around you, other artists around you, to have that like group of creatives around you that maybe you can build something together, maybe you can work on music together, start a new concept of a party somewhere together, because then you start to make waves, and then eventually labels will then ask for you. At least that's then the goal. Yeah.
One question here.
Yeah, I kind of was interested when you said you were burning cash on artists. That really triggered me because I think about it that bringing out records costs money, but if you're actually losing money on artists as well, then can you talk a bit more about it, because I find it interesting, and how does it work for you if you're a label and it's not always profitable and such?
No, it's definitely not, and you also have, because I'm delusional of what I do. Like I know I stick to a certain sound also for my label, so I don't jump on a next trend or something, which is not always economically the best thing to do. But because it's my own strategy around my label. My label is an extension of my own brand, basically. Mm-hmm. So it's not about making money for me. That sounds like all like woo. That's not how I mean it. So I don't care about losing money. I care about creating this community where people know what kind of music that we put out, and I want to be able to basically did what Robert did for me, like Hardway, give people a platform, at least, give them fans that know kind of what to expect from the label. Of course, we have our genre bandwidth, and of course, there's not much money to make anyways in club tunes, in my opinion, because streams are not really, or you have to. That's the only thing. That's what I know. I don't know if you guys know that, but there's more AI-driven playlisting now than ever. There's only a few select playlists that actually have human selection, and that's changing the game. So to answer your question, I think labels should really work towards a way of really cracking that code. That's the only way that you can help upcoming producers or even get tracks successfully out there. But it's obviously everything is so monopolized. Like everything is Warner now, for instance. Cloud9 just got bought as well. So I think they are like far ahead of what we can do as a small label like I have. So for me, it's just about trying to build that community. And even if it's just 1,000 people, I don't care. It's still 1,000 people that can enjoy the music and spread the word. And then eventually the cycle will come back. I think like what I just told. I think we're in 2011, 2012 now, cycle-wise, and I think it will come back towards the stuff that I'm making and Jay is making also.
So Progressive House is coming back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Be delusional.
Yeah, exactly. No, I just wanted to continue a bit about that, because I do think that the whole landscape of the music industry is obviously changing a lot, as in the conventional way of working, like labels and managers and all these things are changing, and that's why it frustrates so many people, because change always goes together with frustration. And it feels like there's always this swing between centralization and decentralization. And it used to be centralization. So let's say a few labels who kind of own the whole industry. And now we're going back to decentralization, which means you as an artist have your own fan base, which might be a lot smaller, but still 1,000 fans could be enough, like the 1,000 true fans concept, right? So I think we're swinging back to that moment where it's all about you. It comes down to you. That's why self-releasing, that's where we have it. That's why self-releasing is becoming so popular.
It's always been popular.
I think that's the momentum that we're hitting right now. It's all getting more back to you being behind the wheel and not relying on labels, bookers, managers. It's you have to do the work. And then maybe, as Jay said, a label will hop on later on. But the first thing, like the first part of the whole job should be done by you. There's this guy, we talked about this, and I saw him this morning. The guy who moved to Amsterdam and Josh, Jack Shore.
Yeah.
I actually saw him this morning again on my timeline, and that triggered me again. I was like, holy shit, this guy. And I'm not sure if you guys know him. He's this TikTok phenomenon. He moved to Amsterdam to make music, and he just creates content around that whole journey. And he is really starting to build this fan base around him, where he makes very creative music and he does shows everywhere. And it's great to follow that journey and to see how that develops. And that's the exact thing that I mean. Like, do it your own, and then maybe somewhere along the way, a bigger company can help you, but you need to do the first part by yourself. That's what I think is the trend for now.
Yeah, and I think there's, like I said before, if you host your own parties with friends and you can start very small. I think No Art Music, so another, I think they started like throwing parties for their friends, and then they start with 100 people, and then it's very underground, and then we can do a bigger venue, and then it's like, hey, these guys have hype and they have a hit, and it seems like it came out of nowhere, but they just started.
What's happening there? Like,
and they loved to be with a group of like-minded people creating their own parties. And I think that's also what sometimes as a producer I forget, that our music or a lot of electronic music is made to be danced to. It's made for parties, and sometimes in the studio you just forget it. But if you go back to that basic, like, hey, what will move this crowd, or how can I like this kind of music, but there's no parties. Who can I build this party with?
That's also related to that whole trend, is that you see DJs creating their own content, right? So creating their own environments to record live sets and have like people there, like the living room sessions, and Fred again on the rooftop. And it's like creating your own little shell, like your own little bubble, where everything has been built how you want it to be. So your setting, your music, your crowd, your values, and just consistently keep doing that till the end of time, and people will
long ass time
until you die. But people will stick along somewhere along the way, because people eventually fall in love with you as a person, not necessarily the music, but it's a combination of things. That's something we can discuss, by the way. But it's really a trend that you see happening, and I do believe that for the upcoming years, that's what you should focus on. Build your own bubble, build your own niche, and own it. There's a question.
Yes. Okay. So on the topic of niches, so you're in a specific niche, right, that is completely different from the area that you are residing in. So how do you thrive in an area that is completely different than what you are passionate about?
I don't think it's smart to go away and make music that you're not passionate about. Like then you're probably just following trends, and that's never a good idea, because that will end. And then what? Next trend, and then the other trend, and you have to pick something that's authentic to you, that you want to make. And yes, you can use and implement certain influences from trends that if it fits, it fits. Like you can use it. But if you change everything just to follow the trend and try to stay relative, it's not a sustainable thing. You'll eventually, you'll collapse. And it's just really hard to stay so close to yourself, because the world will go away and will come back. Like it's what Dannic said. Like it feels like the music of 2011, 12, you said, is kind of getting popular right now again. So it's that cycle getting back again, but it's been gone for 10 years. Mm-hmm. So those 10 years in between has been rough. And Layback Luke talked about this as well in the podcast. Like sometimes the momentum hits where the world is in sync with you, and sometimes it isn't. And chasing that is not a sustainable thing to do. Mm-hmm. But you should stick with your own authentic self, and hoping that momentum will swing back somewhere along the way. And if it's back, make the most out of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Okay. And there's a quote in a book, Big Magic. I've mentioned this a lot on the podcast, by Elizabeth Gilbert. I recommend this book. But it's, as an artist, that's also you can see it positive or negative, but you can put all your effort into it, and you can work all your hours of every day into it, and maybe you succeed and maybe not. And it sounds very like, it can be very harsh. It can be very like, you can do everything right and you can still fail. But that's like maybe not. If you can take it with that kind of lightheartedness, like take it in light, like I might fail, like in a light way, then you can really be more relaxed about your like journey, because you might fail or you might succeed. It's
but
like,
that's what I say. You gotta love the journey. And a lot of people say I'm gonna be happy if I reach that destination, but it's about loving the journey and being good with it and without it. I think that's the most important thing.
We're full of cliches today. There was another question there. Just 2 seconds.
Yeah, there's more of a thing I would like to add. Yesterday I was with a talk from Benny Rodriguez, and we did an ambient session. So he laid mats on the floor, and we were totally zoning out on his. He was playing ambient. Like I didn't know he did that, but it was super fun and it was really authentic as well. And then he had a talk about authenticity as well, and he said, if you stick to yourself, then critique can't hit you that hard, and also really resonated with me. So I found that something I would want to add. And on top of that, I started singing like a couple of months ago, and you were talking about sharing things with friends and family, and I shared it with my friends last week, and some gave some critique on that as well. So, but he said he had to. Get used to it as well. So I think it's also sometimes letting go of some of the critique as well, right? That you don't always, of course I'm going to do something with it, but.
I think if you stick to what you really know is good, because sometimes you can make something, no one else will like it, but you know it's good, then you send it to someone, I have this moments with A&Rs, and they don't like the track, but then it couldn't hit me because I would love that track, and I would be like, okay, it's just not for them, so you don't take it in a personal way. And I think with showing to friends, it's very good to show to everyone, because you can also filter out the ones that will take you seriously and the ones that don't. Because in my own friend group, there's like, let's say people who have normal jobs. And some of them I knew, like I sent stuff and they were like not really taking it seriously. So then I know you know what those friends are then worth when it comes to your career. And I think by showing your stuff to a lot of people, you filter out the people that you don't get feedback from, or you don't, that you know what they're worth to you, let's say. So,
and also in regards to friends being honest, I think like human psychology is like everyone wants to or sees you in a particular box. Like everyone puts a mask towards someone. So if you're out of sync with that, then people will like have like different feelings about it, and they will at first critique you. One of the examples for, let's say my dad, he grew a beard, and I was used to seeing him without a beard, and now I cannot see him without a beard anymore. So it's like your friends are so used to you like being normal, like, not singing, and then you start singing like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, I guarantee you, like when you get successful at like in a month, they're like cheering you for being different. Let's say they have to get used to it. I think that's why they're not wrong, they're not right. It's just feedback. You don't have blue hair, so don't feel offended, right? If someone says, "Oh, you have blue hair," you're like, but you don't have blue hair. No one is gonna, it's not gonna get to you.
Yeah. There's this thing that I think we might have talked about it before, but one of my favorite quotes is, "Everything's stupid until it's not." And that's this, like everything in the beginning feels stupid. The first time you said to your parents, "I'm gonna make music," what were the reaction? Like, yeah, right. Yeah, like until you had your first release or your first gig and things kind of started to become real, and now it's not, So it's always about pushing through that first barrier of dealing with negative feedback from people if you start to do something new, because there will be negative feedback, and just kind of laying it next to you and say like, okay, fuck this, I'm just going to do it anyway. And then suddenly it becomes normal for everyone, and you're just a singer now. That's it. Yeah.
And the people that will listen to you right away, you can like respect your decisions, keep them close. That those are the ones that can help you further, like really. And it's funny because even with people who are good friends of mine in the same career, we had an example, I think, with Ralph on the podcast, where I have this lo-fi hip hop alias, and every time I would tell about it, yeah. My name is Sud. But like it's Eggboy, you can listen to it on all platforms.
Now,
but I would talk about it, and Ralph is then like not really interested, and no, like it's fair, like whatever. But then it got like a lot of reels were using the songs, and then he's like, oh wow, this is really cool. And it's not so much to it's not bad from Ralph, it's just how the world also works. So just keep that in mind as well. People are, sometimes you have a vision and other people just cannot see that, and you can't really blame them for it, but just be aware of it.
True. One quick question in between, like, is there anyone in here who says like, I have managed to build a career for myself through like the concept that we just talked about, as in the 1,000 true fans concept, by making content, by consistently releasing music, and now I'm starting to feel that I get some sort of fan base? Is there someone in-house who managed to... I kind of see some hands wobbling now, like I don't know, like, okay, would someone like to share their story? Would you like? Yeah.
Hi. So yeah, I'm from New York, and I've been kind of seeing a pattern of like, I would host events. And we would see a really good turnout independently, right? And it's a mixture of just introducing to this crowd who doesn't know any of these artists, but maybe knows one artist. And then we build around that and give more upcoming producers an opportunity to show their talents. So there's a mixture of what is it that these 150 people that show up to an independent party, why do they show up? Is it because they believe in the story of the people playing, or do they really enjoy the music? And this is kind of like what I was going to say, like, how important is it to share the story behind the artist? What's more important, the story behind the artist or the music itself that they're streaming constantly?
That's a question, right? Yeah.
Yeah, did you find an answer to that already with the events, or is it still like a... It's I guess, it's confusing, I guess. Yeah. I think that's a very interesting question. I don't really have an answer. I think that's something that that's something that I would think about as well. Why would people follow me? Is it, do they love my music? Do they love my content? Is it a combination of 1,000 things that they see my sets? Maybe Dannic knows.
No, yeah. I think first of all, people hear your music. That's the first interaction they have. Then they will probably check out your socials or whatever. And then if they can find something more personal about that person instead of just promotion stuff that's on there, if they connect with that, I think that's what makes them either a fan or a follower. But I think that's the way of events.
Yeah, I guess that's true. As in, it's almost never just one thing. Somebody comes in and that's because of your music. Somebody comes in because you're hot. Somebody comes in because they like your DJ set. There's many thousands of reasons. But I do believe that your personality, so the person behind the artist, you could say, has become more and more important because of socials these days. And I like to say as well, like, people fall in love with the person, not with the music. So the music could be the entrance, but eventually you fall in love with the person, and that's what makes you stick. So that's what's the transition from follower to fan. I guess that happens once you fall in love with the person.
I think Fisher is a great example of that.
Yeah, I think so too.
agree in some with
Let's
some
go.
artists.
Let's go.
But there are artists that I find out about, and then they're like pretty absent on social media, but their music is like awesome, and that adds to their mysterious kind of vibe.
Yeah.
It makes them cooler, and I don't want to see them backstage. I want to see them on stage and keep this whole fairy tale. So it's like it doesn't go for all
True.
artists. It's kind of what do you want to go for? So that's why, to me, it's a very interesting question.
Yeah. And I think one of the best examples to get is like Deadmau5. Like for those who follow us, we've been in a beef with Deadmau5. He was not happy with how we thought about things. That's okay. But I think it's not.
Sounds like him.
Yeah, but that's the thing, like if you think about him, me personally, I don't think he's a great guy. Like, I'm not sure, I've never met him, but looking from what I know,
He's authentic though. Like,
but that could be, and that's also part of his branding. That's also part of his branding. Like I do think if you'd ask anyone on the street, Deadmau5, if you think about that brand, it's not like, oh, it's this super nice guy. It's more like, oh, this guy always bashes everyone in the industry, and that's a thing. Sure, that's a thing, but. Yeah, I don't think that makes people stick. Maybe it does because it's gossip and stuff and there's something to talk about. But everyone has their own thing and their own reason to stick to an artist. And yeah, that could be personality. Could also be just music because I do appreciate Deadmau5's music. I'm a big fan of what he makes. But I won't stick for the personality, Like I do stick for his music. So I think it's always a balance between those two things. But having a personality would help, I would say. It always helps because people will connect with you on different levels. It's your values that you have. It's the way how you communicate. Maybe you have some weird passions that you want to talk about, like Pokemon cards or
self-releasing.
Like self-releasing. Yeah. Golfing, yeah, barbecuing, whatever you do. Like, everyone has their own little weird thing. And there's always a few other people out there who do the same exact thing. Try to communicate with that and you will always reach people. Are there any other questions?
Yeah, so I wanted to ask about branding because it's like, as you guys said, it's almost as crucial as like being authentic and music. Like I think it comes with that. Like branding is as important. Like there's Deadmau5, like he had the mask back in the day that created a huge impact. Or like we have like modern day producers, DJs with masks. They also play huge shows. And like, let's say for techno, like Revealed has a new sub label that is focusing on techno, and that branding is also dark. So I think branding is really important. But when you get to like being better as a DJ producer, like playing more shows and dealing that with a busy life, like maybe he said like 8 hours of work. So branding becomes like an extra hard, tough thing to deal. Maybe harder than a content, because you just create something new, like a video game character, let's say. Like Fisher, for example, he's a super, like Timmy Trumpet, he's like a guy of party, fun. And you have others that are like super specific style. So how does an upcoming artist create that for themselves without losing their authenticity?
I think you need to find something that's really close to you. And you need to get a bit lucky that you find that thing, because like appearance-wise, it is very important. But I don't know what makes me stand out. Is it because I have blonde hair? Should I focus more on that? Is it? But I don't know. It can be many things because, and it sounds kind of funny. But if I think about Dom Dolla, I think, oh, that's a guy with the mustache. So like, oh, but he's successful. Should I then grow a mustache? No, that's not really my thing. So it's also a bit
Do
of...
it.
I can't. But it's like, that's like a thing where of course, he's super talented. Let's leave out of he's super talented. His music's amazing and he's been working really hard. But I recognize him by the mustache. That's a bit of luck. It's like Timmy Trumpet has the hat, and I think of Timmy Trumpet when I just look at him. Like I think of the guy with the hat and the trumpet, of course. Obviously, but it needs to be something that fits to you, and that is a difficult thing to find because you need it can be a stupid thing like a mustache, you know, that can make people recognize you better. But yeah, like I said, it always starts, of course, with the good music and the solid foundation of good sets. And then adding that's where my focus would lie first. And then if you have that, then try to find something. It comes on top of already having that like foundation, I think.
I would simplify it. I would say branding is personality plus creativity. That's it. You don't have to, create it. Of course, people can help you translate it, but it's just when they ask me like, okay, Dan, what kind of colors do you feel with Dannic? And then that's something that I just felt naturally. I was like, yeah, these kind of colors, blah, blah, blah. But in the end, it's my music resonated with a certain branding. But I was never like, I should dress like this or whatever. Like, I don't know. It's just my personality that kickstarted my career. And then, of course, gradually there are people that can help you, like graphic designers and all that kind of stuff, to create something really cool. But in the end, you are the creative person. You are your own personality. Don't overcomplicate it.
I agree. Like you are the brand.
Awesome. Thank
this is the brand. So you should focus on who you are and try to find something and exploit that, you could say. But always remember, this is the brand. So you don't really you could think of a brand as like the mask and stuff, but then it becomes a whole different story. As long as you don't decide to wear a mask or whatever, this is what you have to deal with. So work with that. I see we're already approaching the hour. Maybe one more question and then we'll go for a beer. There you go.
Een pilsje.
I recommend going to a tattoo artist. Yeah, like I like sketching. So I find inspiration. Is that tomorrow? Yeah, this tomorrow. Nice. Yeah, and then
Nice.
This is my name too. Like he helped me with this because I had a
Sick.
vision, and then he was like, "Oh yeah, I can do something." Yeah, so I don't know if you want tattoos.
Maybe a face tattoo like Mike Tyson.
That's the brand.
Yeah, that's the brand. Yeah, it is. It's part of his brand, but I think he's a pretty good boxer as well.
Also, he invites me here.
Yeah. So I was just to come back to the whole making friends and networking thing you said. What if you're a kind of introvert person? I'm not talking about myself.
Ask for a friend.
Ask for a friend. That part is kind of difficult, right? So how would you? I mean, some people have a natural talent for speaking to other people. I'm looking at him, but he's not the guy. But how would you approach that part? Because that's for some people it's very difficult. And
Yeah, that is. I feel like I also had to I was very nervous always when I remember going to dance fair. It was in Utrecht, and I was like giving my demos to Laidback Luke and Alvaro, and I was super scared. It's a combination of just doing it, but it's also a process, I guess, in everyone's life. When you're an introvert, you kind of need to shift the focus from what do they think of me to, hey, what do I think of them? And that simple view has also helped me because it has to do with confidence but I feel like I was kind of introverted until I realized, hey, this is what you're gonna get. And if people don't like that, or if it's gonna be awkward, so be it. But it can also help to realize, if you're introverted, you think a lot of people. Sometimes I'm at a party and I'm standing in a corner and I feel like, everybody's looking at me standing here all by myself. No one is really. Everybody's way more focused on themselves than on someone, and that can make you more relaxed, I think. But it is a challenge, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I would say I think we all know, like for instance, Avicii was mega introvert, at least in the beginning, and I think his music resonated. He was just making noise, to say so, on the label look form, by just consistently, placing his music there, and that's how he basically attracted the manager guy, Ash. And of course, with confidence, I think you can leave that introvert mindset behind. Of course, you cannot really change who you are in terms of, if you're an introvert or you feel like you're an introvert, that's going to be hard to tackle. But I think confidence will definitely boost you being able to get out there and actually meet people and talk to people. There's the beer. Let's go. This also helps to become more extrovert.
We're not.
But no, don't do drugs. That's not what I'm gonna say. But definitely that helps.
For the people just listening, they brought beers.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can get it if you want.
Just
Like,
we'll let the
just-
music speak for you. In the beginning, push it online as much as you can do through your friends and people that you connect with or trust. That's also very important. And then it will get noticed by other people. And I don't believe in you that you have to get out there all the time if you're not comfortable with it, because then they will also give awkward situations or maybe not the thing that you actually want to accomplish. So just again, stay true to yourself. Feel, of course, try to push yourself getting out of the comfort zone, but within your own boundaries, and gradually become an extrovert or whatever. Superman.
Cool. Yeah, that's it for now. I want to thank you all for being here today. As I said in the beginning as well, we really appreciate it. And we will be here for another 20-30 minutes. There's beer, but if you want anything else, feel free to go to the bar. There's just 1-2 more drinks, and then we'll end the event for today. Don't go away yet. I want to make a picture with all of you, social media. So please stay where you are, and I'll grab my phone. Thanks, guys, for listening.
Hey.